Scriptures of the Immortals, 108 Daoist Wisdom Scrolls. Gate 1. The Root of the Tao. Root before branch. Before technique, before talisman, before star, there is root. Before movement, there is stillness. Before cultivation, there is unlearning. All things in Taoism, alchemy, vision, ritual, immortality, are built upon a root that is invisible but unmistakable. The ancients called it Tao, but they also called it De, virtue, Wu, non-being, and Ziran, naturalness. This gate returns you to that root. You are not entering through a grand temple. You are stepping barefoot into a clearing. And in that silence, you will feel it, the Tao that was always there, waiting. What is a foundation in Taoism? A foundation is not a belief. It is an attunement to the rhythm of the sky, the silence of the body, and the natural unfolding of life when nothing is forced. Taoism does not begin by telling you what to believe. It begins by helping you see what has been in front of you all along. The Tao cannot be named, but it can be felt. It does not teach by explanation. It teaches by resonance. The ancients observed clouds drifting, rivers winding, the breath rising and falling without command. And they understood. To begin walking the Tao is not to chase secrets. It is to unlearn the noise that hides the simplicity of what already is. Wu and You. Non-being and being. In the language of the classics, the Tao arises from Wu, non-being, and from it is born You, being. All that is visible, tangible, and nameable came from the unformed. This is not abstraction. It is your body's own process. Each breath arises from emptiness. Each thought comes from silence. Each heartbeat rests between beats. To cultivate the Tao is to return to Wu, not as negation, but as deep allowing. You are not being asked to suppress yourself, only to remember that stillness is your origin. Why begin with foundational texts? Without roots, a tree falls in wind. Without foundation, advanced practice becomes dangerous or delusional. The 15 texts in this gate were not chosen for technical mastery. They were chosen because they hold the ethical, cosmological, and spiritual integrity of the Taoist path. They teach you how to sit, how to walk, how to treat the world and your own breath with reverence. Even the Immortals began with these. One lineage master once said, "If you skip the first scroll, the last scroll will never open." These texts are the key to every other gate, and they are the mirror by which you will know whether your later insights are true or false. Virtue, stillness, and naturalness. You will encounter 3 core qualities repeatedly in this gate. Virtue. Not moralism, but resonant character, how the Tao flows through you in word, action, and silence. When D is present, your steps align with heaven. You do not impose, you respond. Jing, stillness. More than physical stillness, it is emotional stillness, psychic quiet, spiritual openness. It is the lake in which the stars reflect. Without it, nothing can be received. Ziran, naturalness. Often translated as spontaneity, Ziran literally means self-so-ing, the way things move when unforced. To cultivate Ziran is to return to flow, not passivity, to let each gesture arise from the root of clarity, not ambition. Lived ritual. The breath of initiation. In ancient Taoist temples, students were not handed scriptures. They were asked to sweep the floor for 100 days, to sit in silence, to listen to the sound of wind through pine. Only when they had become quiet enough did the teacher begin to speak. You are invited into this lineage now, not of robes or titles, but of presence. Before reading each text in this gate, light a stick of incense. Sit facing north or east. Take 9 silent breaths, letting the exhale grow longer than the inhale. Whisper, I receive only what my breath can carry. Then read. A practice for rooting. Sit at the base of a tree, if possible. Close your eyes and breathe into the belly. Imagine your breath descending, root-like, into the ground. With each exhale, feel your spine settle deeper into the earth. Repeat until your thoughts slow. Then whisper silently, let this stillness be my first scroll. You may begin reading after that. The foundation is the transmission. In Taoism, mastery does not mean accumulation. It means return. The masters who command wind and walk through dreams are not reaching upward. They are sinking deeper into the root. Your life will change in the way you walk across a room. Set a bowl on the table. Look at a dying leaf. These are not small acts. They are mirrors of the Tao. Final invitation before the scrolls. This gate will not impress you. It will not shock or dazzle. That is its genius. It is a clearing in the forest, a cup of water, a breath that returns you to yourself. When you finish this gate, you may feel like nothing has happened. But if you feel more able to listen, more sensitive to rhythm, more content to not know, then transmission has occurred. You have begun to walk the Tao, and the Tao has begun to walk you. Living threads of the root, oral sayings and mountain practice. In Daoist lineages, the teachings of the root are rarely written down. They are whispered, gestured, or absorbed in silence, the kind of transmission that arrives not with explanation, but with presence. A saying from an old mountain adept, before you speak of the Tao, sweep the courtyard. This was not metaphor. In remote temples, students often spent their first 100 days in silence, sweeping leaves, carrying water, bowing before dawn. No scripture was given. Only after the heart softened and the breath slowed would the master point to the mountain mist and say, there, that is the first scroll. In one remembered account from Qingcheng Mountain, a young novice asked his teacher, how do I know when I have found the Tao? The master closed his eyes and responded, when you no longer ask, and still you bow. These teachings were not linear, and they were not logical. They were embodied. The Tao is not a sentence to be memorized. It is a rhythm to be remembered. Let the following scrolls be approached not as knowledge to consume, but as mirrors to hold quietly in the breath, waiting for your reflection to come home. Stepping onto the path. In Taoism, a foundation is not a belief. It is not a creed to be memorized or a law to obey. Foundation means return to that which was always already present beneath the noise, before the knowing. The Tao is not something to reach. It is something that remains when all reaching stops. Where other traditions build upward, Taoism sinks downward. It flows back, like water, toward the original source. What we call foundation in Taoism is this flow of returning, not to a fixed idea of truth, but to the uncarved presence that pulses quietly beneath all things. This is why the Tao Te Ching begins not with instruction, but with disappearance. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 1. The Tao is not a doctrine. It is the undivided source from which all doctrines arise. It is not a god, nor a thing, nor an answer. It is a rhythm, a breath, a silent unfolding. To be foundational in the Daoist sense is to become aligned with this rhythm, to listen for it beneath appearances. Wu and Yu, being and non-being. Taoism roots its worldview in the interplay between two mysterious poles: Wu, non-being, and Yu, being. All that is visible, tangible, nameable, this is Yu. All that is hidden, unborn, beyond grasp, this is Wu. Yet the two are not opposites. They are co-arising, eternally dancing. The Tao Te Ching tells us, all things arise from being. Being arises from non-being. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 40. This is not a metaphysical claim, but an invitation to shift perception. The most subtle practices in Taoism begin not with effort, but with emptying, a return to Wu, to what is not yet formed. Only then can we see clearly what Yu truly is. Thus, true cultivation does not begin with learning. It begins with unlearning. We do not pile on knowledge. We peel it away. We soften. We release. We return. As the Naye says, when the mind is calm and the breath is aligned, the Tao naturally arrives. It cannot be summoned by force. To step onto the path of the Immortals, we begin not with climbing, but with settling. The foundation is not laid with ambition, but with stillness. Why start with foundational texts? In our era, it is easy to be seduced by the glittering methods of advanced cultivation: breath alchemy, talismanic magic, thunder rites, spirit travel. But Taoist masters have always warned, without foundation, these become dangerous. Techniques practiced without rooting lead to fragmentation, imbalance, and delusion. The early texts of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, the Naye, the Yinfu Jing, and others, do not concern themselves with power. They concern themselves with clarity, with virtue, with the unseen alignment between inner life and outer cosmos. These texts are not simplistic. They are simple, and that is their power. To build a temple, you begin with the earth. To nourish a tree, you begin with the root. To walk the path of the Tao, you begin with the unseen. As Zhuangzi said, a frog in a well cannot conceive of the ocean. A summer insect cannot imagine ice. The foundational texts break the walls of our wells and let the ocean enter. They are reminders, mirrors, invitations to re-enter the Tao, not as an idea, but as a living intimacy. Virtue, stillness, and naturalness. Dai, Jing, Ziren. Three qualities form the energetic base of Taoist practice: Dai, virtue; Jing, stillness; and Ziren, naturalness. These are not abstract virtues, but palpable forces, inner tones, states of resonance. Dai is the inner radiance of alignment, the silent power that comes from walking in step with the Tao. It is not moral virtue, but energetic harmony. Dai is the fragrance of the Tao expressed through your life. Jing, or stillness, is not the absence of motion, but the unshakable center, a lake that does not ripple when the wind passes over it. Stillness is the medium in which the Tao becomes visible. Ziren means so of itself, the state of spontaneous naturalness. It is not randomness, but effortless order. When we let go of striving, life reveals its own rhythm. Ziren is the flower blooming without command, the breath falling without effort, the path unfolding without plan. Together, these three guide all further gates of cultivation. Without them, higher practices become brittle and hollow. With them, even the simplest breath becomes alchemical. Reader's preparation, approaching the scrolls. Before you begin reading the scrolls that follow, pause, close your eyes, let your breath settle, feel your body. Let your awareness rest at the center of your belly, the lower dantian. Let go of the question, what will I learn? Instead, ask, what will I remember? These are not textbooks. They are transmissions. They do not explain. They whisper. Approach each text not with your intellect, but with your breath. Read not to master, but to receive. Ritual suggestion. Before reading each scroll, take 3 soft breaths. Bow, inwardly or outwardly. Whisper the word Tao once, and listen for what answers. Treat each scroll as a mirror. It will not always reflect what you expect, but it will always reflect what you carry. These are foundational texts not because they are old, but because they still hold. They still pulse with the living current of the Tao. And now, with breath, with stillness, and with virtue in heart, you begin. Scroll 1, Tao Te Ching by Laozi. Essence Summary. The Tao Te Ching is the root scripture of Taoism, composed around the 6th century BCE and attributed to the sage Laozi. Written in 81 terse poetic chapters, it expresses the ineffable nature of the Tao, the way, and the subtle virtue, Di, that flows from alignment with it. It teaches the art of non-doing, Wu Wei, softness over force, emptiness over accumulation, and reversal as the movement of return. It is both a metaphysical text and a manual for rulers, healers, and sages. Its enduring paradoxes continue to open the heart and unsettle the mind in the most sacred way. Cultivator's Key. Let go before you begin. The Tao Te Ching teaches that the Tao cannot be grasped, only entered. Do not try to understand it. Instead, let it wash over your breath. Sit still. Inhale with no agenda. Exhale without control. Try this. For one full breath cycle, drop every label of yourself, your day, your goal. Let the breath become unnamed. This is your path back to the root. Align with nature, not opinion. Act without forcing. Speak only when silence has ripened into necessity. When action arises from emptiness, all is accomplished without doing. Mystic Insight. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of strength. All things arise from being. Being arises from non-being. Tao Te Ching, chapters 40 and 76. Scroll 2, Ne Ye, Inner Training, Anonymous, 4th century BCE. Essence Summary. The Ne Ye is the earliest known text dedicated to internal cultivation, Neigong, and predates or parallels parts of the Tao Te Ching. Where the Tao Te Ching is cosmic and paradoxical, the Ne Ye is intimate and precise, focused on breath, spirit, stillness, and moral alignment. It teaches that the Tao lives within the human body and is nourished through quietude, concentration, and virtue. The Ne Ye is foundational because it connects cosmic order with embodied practice, grounding lofty philosophy in the rhythms of breath, intention, and inner stillness. Cultivator's Key. The Ne Ye teaches, if the mind is tranquil, the qi will naturally collect. This is your cue. Still the thoughts, and the qi returns. Begin each day with the simple act of listening inward. Sit. Breathe softly. Let your awareness sink into your lower belly. Do nothing. Just wait. This text reminds us that spiritual power is not summoned. It gathers when the vessel is quiet enough. Your breath is your altar. Your stillness is your offering. The Tao does not descend. It emerges when you remove resistance. Mystic Insight. The vital essence of all things, this is what is called Tao. It is that which brings them to life. It is stored in the chest and flows through the body. When kept within, it is virtue. When lost, it is disaster. Nei Ye, Chapter 5. Scroll 3, Zhuangzi by Master Zhuang, circa 4th century BCE. Essence Summary. The Zhuangzi is a radiant tapestry of allegory, absurdity, and profound freedom. Attributed to Master Zhuang, it dances with paradox to dismantle fixed truths, laugh at moral pretension, and awaken us to the boundless spontaneity, Ziran, of the Tao. Its stories of dreaming butterflies, useless trees, and carefree sages free the reader from conceptual bondage. Unlike instructional texts, Zhuangzi does not teach what to do. It invites you to forget the self that is doing. It is foundational because it shows us that liberation is not found in control, but in surrender to the vast, playful flow of the Tao. Cultivator's Key. Release the need to be right. Let yourself not know. When reading Zhuangzi, laugh. Then go quiet. Feel the deeper rhythm beneath the joke. Practice. Sit with a question you cannot answer. Let it echo through your breath. Observe the self that wants a conclusion. See how it dissolves. True cultivation is not about effort. It is about becoming light. Light enough to float with the wind and rootless enough to ride the currents. Be like the useless tree, untouched because it cannot be made into tools. Or the butterfly, unsure if it is dreaming or being dreamed. Mystic Insight. Once I, Zhuangzi, dreamed I was a butterfly. I was conscious only of my happiness as a butterfly. Suddenly I awoke, and there I was, a man again. But I do not know. Was I then a man dreaming I was a butterfly? Or am I now a butterfly dreaming I am a man? Zhuangzi, Chapter 2. Scroll 4, Yinfu Jing, Scripture of Hidden Resonance, Anonymous, Han Dynasty, or earlier. Essence Summary. The Yinfu Jing is a brief but potent text of mysterious origin. Often translated as the Book of Secret Correspondences, it reveals a cosmology where all things respond to the unseen, and where inner virtue controls outer change. Its lines speak of heaven's movements, natural cycles, and the hidden forces that govern transformation. It teaches that those who align with the invisible law of the Tao need not force anything. They move in resonance, and the world follows. Considered an esoteric manual disguised as poetry, it is foundational for its emphasis on subtle causality, inner stillness, and the power of unseen virtue. Cultivator's Key. Still your thoughts, then listen for what you cannot hear. The Yinfu Jing says, "The visible comes from the invisible." Cultivation begins not by acting on the world, but by becoming quiet enough that you are acted upon by heaven. Practice. Observe the winds, the shadows, the timing of your breath. Align your actions with these, not your emotions. In a noisy world, become the one who hears the silent signal. When your qi is pure, others respond, not to your words, but to your presence. This is Yinfu, hidden accord. Lead not by control, but by resonance. Mystic Insight. Heaven's movements are ever hidden, yet the root of all action responds to them. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. When virtue is full, the world transforms without effort. Yinfu Jing, verse 1 and 4, interpreted. Scroll 5, Wenzi, attributed to Wenzi, Han Dynasty redaction. Essence Summary. The Wenzi is a lesser-known Daoist classic that echoes and expands the teachings of Laozi. Thought to preserve oral transmissions between Wenzi and Laozi, it blends political insight, cosmological vision, and meditative guidance. What makes it foundational is its synthesis, affirming that wisdom in governance and inner clarity are one. The sage does not retreat from the world, but transforms it by embodying emptiness, virtue, and non-resistance. The Wenzi affirms, the one who rules self, rules all. Cultivator's key. Sit in stillness until your thoughts dissolve. Then walk into the world without losing that stillness. Practice. After each breath, notice the space before the next. Dwell in that space. Let your words, actions, and decisions arise from this clarity. Like water, the sage nourishes without striving. Like the valley, the sage holds all without judgment. Leadership begins in the breath. Change begins in stillness. The world responds not to control, but to inner presence. Mystic insight. Those who are full cannot receive. Only the empty can hold the Tao. Govern yourself with clarity, and others will feel no need to rebel. Wenzi, Chapter 2. Scroll 6. Taiyi Shengshui Jing, the Great One gives birth to water. Essence summary. One of the oldest cosmological texts in Taoism, the Taiyi Shengshui Jing declares that water is the primordial medium from which all things arise. The Great One gave birth to water. Water returned and assisted the One, thus creating heaven and earth. This scroll is foundational because it links stillness with source and water with spiritual origin. Before breath, form, or effort, there is flow. It's a scroll of metaphysical poetry, calling us to reflect on the substance of the subtle. Cultivator's key. Meditate on water. Become water. Practice. With every inhale, feel water filling your form. With every exhale, imagine yourself as mist dissolving into sky. Let rigidity melt. Cultivation is not about adding effort. It's about returning to flow. Just as the Tao flows down into form, you can descend into stillness and rejoin it. The secret of life is to become the channel, not the dam. Mystic insight. The Great One gave birth to water. Water returned and assisted the One. Thus, nothing resists it. Taiyi Shengshui Jing, opening verse. Scroll 7. Qing Jing Jing, Classic of Clarity and Stillness. Essence summary. This short scripture, often chanted in Daoist temples, extols the power of clarity, Qing, and stillness, Jing, as the twin gates to unity with the Tao. Unlike more cryptic scrolls, the Qing Jing Jing is direct and luminous. It declares, the Tao is always calm and pure. It does not act, yet everything is done. This scroll serves as a mirror for the heart, reminding us that all chaos comes from craving, and that returning to simplicity reveals the immortal within. Cultivator's key. Sit in silent observation. Let your breath grow quiet. Watch your thoughts without entering them. Repeat inwardly, Qing, Jing. Do this for 5 minutes. You'll feel the wind settle. You don't need to fix your life. You need to remove what clouds it. When the mirror is clean, the Tao appears on its own. Mystic insight. The Tao is pure and still. When the mind is not disturbed, the spirit returns to its root. Qing Jing Jing, verse 2. Scroll 8, Bao Puzi, by Geihong, circa 300 CE. Essence summary. Bao Puzi, master who embraces simplicity. By Geihong blends Daoist inner alchemy, external elixirs, ethics, and political commentary. In this early foundational phase, we draw from its opening chapters on virtue and simplicity. Geihong insists that before one seeks immortality, one must first cultivate honesty, modesty, and integrity. He warns against chasing powers or methods without first grounding the spirit. Cultivator's key. Jihong reminds us, no elixir will stabilize a reckless heart. Before you refine essence, refine your life. Practice. Observe one behavior this week that drains your energy. Do not judge it, just see it. Then act with restraint, not suppression. True alchemy begins with stillness in daily choices. The immortal is not elsewhere. It is the part of you that remains after noise. Mystic insight. The golden elixir is not found in mountains. It arises in the one who embraces simplicity and does not leak essence through restlessness. Baopuzi, Inner Chapters. Scroll 9. Zhonglu Chuandaoji. Transmission of the Tao from Zhongli to Lu Dongbin. Essence Summary. This later scroll records an alchemical dialogue between two immortals, Zhongli Quan and Lu Dongbin. Though later in composition, Tang Dynasty, it contains clear teachings on the inner virtues required before any practice of transformation. It insists that cultivation must begin with severing worldly entanglements, aligning breath and spirit, and establishing ethical root. Cultivator's key. Lu Dongbin was not accepted as a disciple until he passed 10 tests of the heart. You don't need to pass tests, but you must observe your attachments. Practice. For 3 days, observe your reactivity. Note where your energy leaks, then choose stillness. You cannot walk the immortal path carrying everything. Lay something down today. Mystic insight. Before one moves qi, one must still the mind. Before one refines spirit, one must correct the heart. Zhonglu Chuandaoji, Chapter 1. Scroll 10. Guanyinzi, the master who contemplates. Essence Summary. The Guanyinzi, attributed to a recluse of the Han Dynasty, offers a concise vision of Daoist life that emphasizes simplicity, inwardness, and detachment from the corrupting influence of society. The sage observes the Tao by withdrawing into clarity and letting worldly concerns pass like clouds. This scroll reminds us that spiritual sight requires inner quiet, and that the Tao is best seen not in brightness, but in subtle shadow. Cultivator's key. Cultivation doesn't require mountains, but it does require space. Practice. Withdraw for 1 hour today. Turn off all devices. Sit somewhere unremarkable. Listen. Watch the arising and falling of thoughts like drifting mist. Observation, Guan, is not analysis. It is pure witnessing. By not grasping, the clarity remains. The Tao is revealed in what you are not trying to change. Mystic insight. The sage does not chase illumination. He walks into the twilight and finds it more pure. Guanyinzi, Fragment 4. Scroll 11, Tai Shangan Yingpian, the Treatise of the Highest Response. Essence Summary. This moral text from the late Han or early medieval period blends Confucian ethics with Daoist cosmology. Its theme is resonance, Ganying, the belief that thoughts, words, and actions ripple outward, affecting heaven and earth. While more behavioral than mystical, it is foundational for grounding the practitioner in integrity, accountability, and sincerity, all necessary for deeper Daoist practice. Without these, any magical power becomes dangerous. Cultivator's key. Before you refine qi, refine character. Practice. Reflect on how your inner state affects others. Walk today as if every gesture leaves a cosmic imprint. Speak as if each word echoes through the Tao. This is not about guilt. It is about alignment. When you act with sincerity and restraint, heaven responds in kind. Mystic insight. Heaven and earth have no favorites, yet the virtuous are always aligned with their flow. Tai Shangan Yingpian. Opening lines. Scroll 12. Laozi Xiang'er Commentary. Essence. Summary. The Xiang'er is one of the earliest surviving commentaries on the Tao Te Ching, originating from the Celestial Masters movement, 2nd century CE. Unlike abstract philosophy, it reads Laozi's words as practical, spiritual guidance. The Xiang'er emphasizes purity, humility, and self-correction, seeing the Tao Te Ching as a living guide to inner transformation. It is foundational because it models how to interpret sacred texts as direct instructions for cultivation. Cultivator's key. Instead of reading scripture for ideas, read it for cues. Take one line from the Tao Te Ching. Let it become your guide for the day. Read, breathe, listen. The Xiang'er teaches that inner clarity attracts celestial guidance. When your heart is clean, heaven will respond. Mystic insight. The words of the Tao are wind. They are heard only when the soul is quiet and received only by those who are not looking for them. Xiang'er, Preface. Scroll 13. Wuzhen Pian, Awakening to the Real, by Zhang Boduan. Essence Summary. This 11th century poetic treatise on internal alchemy by Zhang Boduan may seem later than a foundation text, but its first verses focus not on practice, but on correcting delusion. The Wuzhen Pian, Awakening to the Real, begins by warning that most seekers are misled, chasing form instead of essence. It is foundational for reminding the cultivator to stop looking outward and begin by recognizing the true self that is always present but unrecognized. Cultivator's key. What are you seeking that you have not already been given? Practice. Stop striving. Sit. Ask, what have I been chasing that I never truly needed? Zhang Boduan reminds us that awakening is not the discovery of something new, but the peeling away of layers. What remains is real. Mystic insight. Do not search for immortality in the mountains. You have passed it by daily, in your breath, in your silence. Wuzhen Pian, verse 1. Scroll 14. Yuanshi Tianzun's Declarations, Celestial Worthy of Primordial Beginning. Essence Summary. Attributed to the highest celestial deity in Daoist cosmology, Yuanshi Tianzun, these declarations are found in liturgical texts used in ritual purification and initiation. While cosmic in tone, they are deeply foundational in their call to humility, reverence, and sincerity. These are not just prayers, they are alignments, positioning the practitioner within a greater celestial order where the Tao is both presence and prayer. Cultivator's key. Speak not to impress, but to align. Practice. Recite silently. I return to the root. I honor the unseen. I dissolve my arrogance. Allow ritual language to purify the ego. The Tao is not impressed by cleverness. It reveals itself through sincerity. Mystic insight. I lower my voice and open my breath. I make no claims. I seek no reward. May the spirits see through me and find only the Tao. Declarations of Yuanshi Tianzun, Ritual Fragment. Scroll 15, The Book of the Center, Zhongshu Jing, Anonymous Fragment. Essence Summary. This lesser-known early Daoist fragment emphasizes centrality, balance, and inner harmony. Echoing both Laozi and Neye, it teaches that the heart of all things lies in the center, between extremes, beyond preference. It is foundational because it brings together stillness, breath, intention, and spaciousness into one unified concept. Zhong, the center. From here, everything flows rightly. Cultivator's key. Return to center before you act. Practice. Sit and place your awareness behind the navel. Breathe until the pulse of thought slows. Let your day arise from here. The center is not a location. It is a stance. Neither grasping nor withdrawing. Neither forcing nor retreating. From center, the Tao becomes effortless. Mystic insight. The sage holds the center, not to stay still, but to move without excess. Zhongshu Jing, Fragment 3. Integration practice, entering the Tao through the root. The 15 foundational scrolls you've just encountered do not teach through instruction alone. They reveal through resonance. They are not merely old words, they are energetic alignments, mirrors that awaken remembrance. But to truly benefit from their power, the reader must stop being a reader. You must become a cultivator. This section offers you a simple but profound practice structure to absorb the scrolls into breath, body, and spirit. You do not need robes or rituals. You need only the will to become quiet, the humility to listen, and the patience to return, again and again, to the unshaped root of the Tao. 1. Foundational practice. Summary. The foundational mode of Daoist practice is not action, but stillness, Jing. It is not breathing techniques, but breath awareness. It is not striving to unite with the Tao, but unblocking what already connects you. Practice 1. Stillness meditation. Each morning, before speaking, sit upright on a cushion or chair. Let your spine extend gently. Bring your awareness behind your navel, the lower dantian. Do not control the breath. Observe it. Let it come and go like the wind through a forest. At first, your mind may race. Let it. You are not stopping it. You are simply not following. After 5 minutes, silently recite a line from one of the scrolls. Let the line sit in your chest like a quiet bell. End with a bow to nothing in particular, or to everything. Practice 2. Breath through daily life. As you walk, work, or speak today, check in with your breath. Is it shallow or open, tight or flowing? When you notice you're forcing, grasping, rushing, pause. Return to the breath. Let it anchor you back into non-doing, wu-wei, back into the current of the unforced way. 2. Contemplative questions. Let these questions guide your journaling or moments of reflection. There are no right answers. There are only honest ones. What does effortless mean in your life? Not as a theory, but as a feeling. What is one behavior, thought, or habit you can let go of today to be closer to the Tao? When you are most still, what inside you speaks? And what inside you falls silent? Do you live from your center or from your edges? What would change if you returned inward first? 3. Micro practices for the next 15 days. Use these scrolls not as text to finish, but as companions to dwell with. Over the next 15 days, try the following rhythm. Day by day ritual. Each morning, select one foundational scroll. Read it aloud. Once, slowly. Sit in silence with one line from the scroll. Let the breath grow quiet. Let the line dissolve. Record any sensations, dreams, or insights in a small journal. This is not about understanding every scroll. It is about letting each one stir your chi, clear your heart, and point you inward. Over time, the scrolls will no longer feel like teachings. They will feel like reflections of your own Tao unfolding. 4. Call to simplicity. The further one travels the Daoist path, the simpler the steps become. At first, you may feel drawn to complex techniques, esoteric diagrams, alchemical maps. Let them come, but do not chase them. Every immortal began with silence. Every true scroll begins with emptiness. Let this be your beginning and your return. Read less, sit more, do less, notice more, speak less, listen more, strive less, align more. Final whisper. Do not worry if you forget the lines. Do not worry if your thoughts wander. Do not worry if your breath is uneven. The Tao is not looking for perfection.